So today I just figured there's not a lot of alternator upgrades on the old 64 Galaxie generator cars, which were generator cars originally. So I'm going to 150 amp alternator swap my 64 Galaxie. But I gotta update you on what got us all here. This car originally had an alternator on it, some like Ford 2G 3-wire setup or whatever. But whoever did this messed up the wiring horribly. So when I was having problems with that old alternator and the car just wouldn't start, I had to jump it everywhere. I bought this alternator, Power Master. Great brand, great company to deal with. Their customer service is amazing. I didn't want to get chrome, but it was the cheapest one. Black is the most expensive now. I don't know why. It's just how it goes. So during that process, I slapped on the 150 amp alternator, and there's a dummy wire that goes to the dash light inside the car. And when you turn the key on, it'll be red. And then when the car is running and that wire senses voltage, it turns the light off on the dash to let you know that it's charging and everything's good with the charging system on the car. But whoever did the original alternator swap messed up 3 wires. They still had the generator regulator on the fender, which you didn't need anymore. Cut it up, hacked it up, and they twisted together the yellow wire that goes to the horn that does go to the regulator. And then they twisted together this wire, which goes to the ignition key switch in the dash to send power to here from the battery to the starter and fire up the car. And then there was a third wire that they switched, that they twisted together. None of this stuff was butt connected or anything. And this is your signal wire that goes to the dash. And when I was waiting, I installed this alternator. I didn't know any of that was all twisted together. And when I went to go fire up the car, it was charging. Everything was great. And all of a sudden 10-15 minutes go by, and the whole charging system was charging at like 18.7 volts, almost 19 volts. And I couldn't turn the car off because that signal wire was twisted together with the starter solenoid wire and the power wire to the horn. So I was just constantly feeding power to this alternator. Couldn't turn the car off. I had to close the choke on the carburetor to get it to die. Disconnected it. The battery was starting to boil over, as you can see right there. It smelled like sulfur. It was getting bad really quick. I'm lucky this freaking car didn't start on fire. Fried this guy up, had to send it out for repair. And during that whole process, I had this 10CH or 1CH chassis alternator. It's a GM 3-wire. Figured out how to wire that up. I fixed all the wiring here, and I got this one working great. It works fine now. But I'm stuck with this guy, so I might as well just slap this guy on and use it. And I'm gonna keep that guy as a backup, because apparently it's a show car. And I don't like those bolts stacked up right there in front of the bracket because somebody chopped a chunk out of that alternator. And I just might as well use it, and then I'm just gonna keep this guy as a backup and just go from there. So that's my story on how I got to this spot. And I figured, you know what, it's been a while since we uploaded a YouTube video. Might as well just do one on doing a 150 amp 1-wire alternator upgrade on a 64 Galaxie. So let me get all this apart, and we'll continue from there. All right, we got the GM 3-wire off. This is the Power Master 150 amp 1-wire Ford upgrade. 3-wire because it considers a power wire, a ground, this wire that goes from the power to the number 2 terminal, so that way when the alternator needs to be charged, it just sucks voltage from here and charges it. And then your other wire is this guy right here, which is your generator wire that goes to the dash, which turns red when your generator or alternator is no longer charging and needs to be rebuilt, replaced, whatever. Which when this guy was out, I had to fix this one because I tried to steal this power terminal and use it as a ground on this guy when I was installing this one the first time. And I dropped the bolt that holds it inside of the housing. And I took this guy apart and figured out how to use a little straw from like the WD-40 or the brake clean to hold the brushes in through the chassis actually, and pull them through and reset it and everything. Come to find out, you could actually rebuild an alternator for 20 to 50 bucks, just depending on make, model, and all that stuff. So after this, probably never buying a new alternator again. I'll just rebuild it. But yeah, anyways, this one comes with a tag that it's been tested, 14.8 volts. And then also what I did, went and bought a new belt this time. I was using the old belt last time. Make sure it's really tight, no slipping or anything like that, because you will burn up the internals on this. And I did get sidetracked. 64 Galaxies do not come with the fan shroud, but I had this one off of my 80 Fox body. I threw a brand new aluminum one on it with electrical fans and all that stuff back when I had it, and I just kept the old radiator with the shroud, and I it's just, you know, zip tie banded on right now just to try it on, but fits pretty nicely. So we'll see how it works. We're gonna throw everything back together and I'll show you how it charges, and maybe we should let you listen to how it starts up and everything fires up real nice. Oh, another thing is, if you're upgrading on the PowerMaster instructions to a PowerMaster alternator, you got to upgrade your wires. So I did a 2-gauge everything from the starter to the solenoid, the positive, the negative, even the ground that goes to the motor to the alternator. It's all 2-gauge, which is a little overkill. You don't have to. The 150 amp upgrade calls for 8-gauge, but you know, I just feel like the bigger the better when it comes to that. I mean, odd gauge is a little overkill, but that's what I did for all my stuff. So yeah, here we go. All right, we got everything hooked back up. 12.58 volts, almost 12.6, which is good. Got this set up to see from the driver's side. Hopefully this is not a mistake. It falls into the engine bay. Here we go. See, goes your generator light, oil light. See, when the car is on, generator light goes off. Sorry, there's no choke, so I just got to put my big toe in the gas for a minute or two. And what do we got out there? 14.65, 14.67. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Focus, baby. Or not. But we got 14.67. Just gonna let it charge for a few minutes. Should idle now. And since the last time the wiring was messed up, the car wouldn't turn off. Let's see if it turns off now. Nice. Oh. That old starter. I don't know if it likes all the good current it's getting right now or not, or if it doesn't like it at all. Might be next on the list. It's running good. It's not hitting the fan shroud at all. Let's give it about 10 or 15 minutes. See how it's charging. This is just the old 352 FE. It's not a 390. It's nothing special. But 352 is just like the old 302 or the old Chevy 305, you know, the old reliable motor that just keeps running. And it's been cruising me around. It's been getting me up and down the mountains. It's been going everywhere, man. So we'll be back in a few minutes when it's a little more quieter and you can hear me. Okay, no generator light, no oil light, everything's good. Car turned off. Don't think it's gonna blow up this time. Let's see what we got for voltage. 13.4, running good. I know a one wire upgrade with the 150 amps is a little much for this, with it just no AC, nothing. But you know, I want to get the radio fixed, the wipers fixed, all that going, and I just want it to be reliable. I don't want it to be faulty on me or anything like that. So, and the price for the PowerMaster 150 amp upgrade was not too bad. So I just spent the money and paid extra shipping to get next day for it to try and be ready for a car show and everything. And you know, it's not a show car by any means. It still needs paint and everything, but just to be cruising and showing up and getting the free goodie bags and everything that they give out, that's what I like to do right now. So that's it. That was a PowerMaster 150 amp Ford alternator upgrade. Okay, so 63 and 64 Galaxie guys only, which cars came originally from the factory with a generator and not an alternator. This is what you're gonna need out of your wiring harness to make this work. First and foremost, you're gonna need the brackets, the top bracket and then the lower bracket that just, you can adjust the tension on the belt. You're gonna need those two. You get them from Dennis Carpenter for like 20 bucks off of Summit. So you could throw an alternator on here because the bracket is different for a generator. And then out of the generator wiring harness, you're gonna get rid of the voltage regulator and that whole harness. And out of that harness, the only thing that you're gonna need is your yellow wire with the black tracer, which goes from your charge indicator light from the dash to right here. And it's gonna go on slide terminal 1 on the alternator on the 150 amp upgrade for the Ford. And then you're gonna use your black wire with the yellow tracer, which you can tell because it's a bigger 10 gauge wire that comes from the ignition switch where the key's at on your positive side of the starter solenoid along with the battery. And then you're gonna be left over with the 10 gauge wire, which is all yellow, no tracer on it, which goes to your horn and your horn relay. And it went from here to the voltage regulator. And you just got to figure out where to tie that one into to get your horn working again. But other than that, everything else you can just throw in the trash. And once you get your alternator, all you need is power from the positive side of the starter solenoid, battery side of the starter solenoid, to your positive power post, your ground from your ground wire post, which is just a threaded hole in the back of the alternator, grounded to your motor, and from your motor back to your battery. And then I have a ground from the block to the firewall. I don't know if you can see that, with just that cable strap. And you can, if you want to, go from the ground of your battery to the body if you want to. And that's it. Everything else with the ignition system is the same. This is going to be your red wire with blue tracer, and this is going to be your brown wire with I think it's a blue tracer also, but I know it's brown. And that's all you really need. And make sure you get a brand new belt, and make sure your tension is really tight on that belt for that alternator to spin properly, and you won't void any warranty. And that is literally it. But any tips or tricks of where I could tie in my battery for a switch or something like that from the horn relay, let me know in the comment section. But other than that, that is your 150 amp Ford alternator upgrade on a 63 or 64 Galaxie, from a generator over to an alternator.